everybody. You are listening to It's Covered, the insurance podcast, because if you think that insurance is boring, then you are not doing it properly. I am your host, Paul Lytle, and this is season 2. So for those of you who were with us on season 1, I know it's been a very long break, and I'll get into that. I'll get into that a little bit to let you know what's kind of been going on. That me in particular needed to take the break. For those of you who might be listening from the future, you're probably like, wait a minute, I just heard them 5 seconds ago, and where's Melvin? And it had for those of you, you know, it has been quite a while since season 1. I'm very, very glad to be back. I appreciate you tuning in with me today. And kind of before I get into kind of, you know, catching you up, I kind of want to restate what we're after here. Because a lot of what we do on this podcast is to talk about just the industry, the insurance industry as a whole, some things that might be helpful in some aspect or another, you know, some tips and tricks and that sort of thing. But you know, one of my main focuses here, and this is the reason that we have this on Monday morning, when, you know, kind of our energy levels are at the worst that they're going to be all week long, and we don't want to be up and we don't want to be driving to work, is just to remind us of what we're doing this for. And the impact that it has. We are in one of the strangest industries in the world, where we're selling a promise, and it's a promise that no one ever actually wants to use. You know, I mean, if we all had our way, if we're at all sane, we want to, like, get car insurance for a reasonable price and never use it. And so that puts us kind of in this weird position where most of our customers, especially if we're on the agent side, are just giving us money and never getting actually any benefit from it, and nor wanting to. You know, on the claim side of things, it's kind of surreal, because our day-to-day job is dealing with people who have just had the worst things in the world happen to them. And that can get, I mean, that can make us calloused, because it's just Monday for us. But for that person, the unthinkable may have just happened, and they don't know what to do, and they don't know what's going to happen in the future, and they're lost in everything that's gone on. And so we have this our industry has sits in this weird place where you're either giving us money for nothing except a piece of paper, or you're dealing with us because your life has just been shattered. There's very little in between, in the meantime. And that takes special care, and that takes a special approach. But for so many of us, you know, as we approach this thing, it is just Monday. Today's Monday. Today is just Monday. You know, those of us in claims, we're dealing with tens, 20s, however many accidents every single day. And it's normal. It's normal. For those of us who, you know, are on the agent side, you know, it's normal that people would give us money for nothing but a piece of paper, and it might make us blinded as to what we're actually doing and why it's actually important. And because we're the ones that jump into action when catastrophe strikes, that means that we really should be we should be the ones that are most empathetic to that, who are most in tune with that, who are most willing to stand by people during their crisis than anyone else. And a lot of us stumbled into, including me, a lot of us stumbled into this career because we needed a job. But we are called to stand by our neighbor in very difficult times. And that is a very challenging career choice. And part of what I want to do here is to encourage you in that, to remain focused on the customer, to remain focused on the agent side, on best advising the customer to get them best prepared for their needs, not boilerplating policies, but to best protect that person's particular needs at that particular time. To step up our customer service, especially at times of claims, to make sure that we've got the right team, we've got everything in order, and we are ready. And so that's kind of been the point of what we're doing. And that point is not going to change. Now, pretty much everything else in my life has changed. So you remember in season 1, one of the reasons that Mel and I were able to do this together is that we worked at the same agency. He is still there, but I am not. I have gone back to claims. And that was, and for those of you who might have sold agencies before, that is a lot of stuff. And so I wasn't able to keep up the podcast during that transition. I have been back in claims for a while. Everything has straightened out, and I've just been itching to get back over here. It is, Mel's going to, whenever we can get together to record, he's going to be here, but most of the time it's just going to be me because it's just not ridiculously convenient, for us to be together anymore. At least for the time being. At least, both of us have small kids, and so even Saturdays are kind of eaten up. But I wanted to kind of talk about doing that because, one thing I see on like agent pages on websites, on websites, like specifically on Facebook, is just a lot of people who are writing these posts, I guess just to show other agents how much they've got it all together. And it's really weird. It's really weird. And it's never been something that I've really been tempted to do, especially because I don't have everything all together. There's a lot of things that I do really well, and there's a lot of things that I do very poorly. And if you go back and listen to season 1, I try to be upfront that marketing and sales are not my strong points. They're not. I'm much better at claims. I'm much better at customer service, and honestly, getting back into claims is probably a much better place for me to be, with my particular skill set. I'm really good at stuff like that, and I'm really bad at a lot of stuff, that came with an agency. And so I've never been tempted to just kind of write these BS posts about how much, how much I'm killing it. And it's always hilarious, like when people you personally know make those posts and they're full of it because you know what they're doing. I've had different employees in the past that, post on their personal page about how much they're killing it. And I'm like looking at the numbers like, dude, you're not. You're really not. But I mean, we all know that these posts are baloney, and I've never been one to do that, and I'm not going to be somebody who does that on this podcast. That is going to pretend like that this whole thing was something that it wasn't. It was what normally happens when somebody who is not retiring is selling an agency. It didn't do as well as I had hoped. I didn't even come close. And so, at a certain point, it really was that, hey, I'm going to make a lot more money and be able to better serve my family, in claims than I will, here in the agency. And, also relieve myself of quite a bit of stress. And so it really was a good move for me. But this is the reason that you heard me over and over again say, that marketing and sales, I'm not very good at them. And then that really bore its way out. Now there was a lot of different things that happened, and stuff that I'm going to want to talk about in future episodes. Not to kind of complain about what has about my particular hand that I was dealt, because I don't really care about that. It's something that, the agency was just this magnificent experience in this thing that has given me this very, very unique and great perspective now that I'm back in claims, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I have no complaints over either doing it or having to leave. But there's also some stuff that happened that I think that we can learn from, because I learned from. And so there's going to be stuff that I want to talk about, but I also want to keep our focus on the stuff that I think makes difference long term. And that's how we think about claims, how we think about coverages, how we think about customer service, all from the point of view of reaching our customers and serving them in a very wise, in an honorable way, to give them the best advice possible. For those of us who are in claims, to give them the best experience possible, to settle fairly with them. And in the meantime, to be able to serve our own families by, earning an honest and good wage for this. That's where a lot of our focus, I want to keep it on, So that's kind of what I'm going to be here doing week after week. The episodes are going to be a little bit shorter, and that really is a function of having a conversation with somebody does take more time than just monologuing, even if we're covering the same information. And so the episodes probably will be shorter just because it's a different format. Not because I'm going to have less content or less meaning in the episodes, but you can expect them on Monday mornings again. I'm really trying to work up to where I can, throw in some bonus episodes during the week. Again, trying to kind of keep our focus where it needs to be. That is serving our neighbors the best way we can. And like I said, I'm hoping that Mel's going to be able to join me quite often, but I hope more that you'll be able to join me each and every week here. I really do have a passion for insurance. I've been in this field for 11 years now. Like I said, I got into it because I needed a job, and this was 2008, and it was a time, if you remember it, where you could feel the recession coming. And that's one of those moments. And I was actually getting married, and I needed a better paying job. I was working for the court system at the time in a job that was really fascinating, but it wasn't going to pay the bills, and getting married and moving forward with the family was something that was going to require more money. And so I was looking for a job that would weather the recession better than most. And one of those fields is insurance, and got into claims then, and really kind of fell in love with the industry and fell in love with all the weird peculiarities of our job. And so that passion is why I'm doing this. I believe in what we're doing. I believe that it's important. And I believe that if we do it well, it's going to have a massive impact on people's lives. And at the same time, if we do it poorly, we can really, we honestly can hurt people. And so that's why we're having this podcast. That's why I'm talking to you today. And I hope that you will subscribe, hang out with us more. So you might be listening to this. You might be watching this. These videos are going to be in several places. They're going to be on Facebook. They're going to be on YouTube. I didn't check. I think I can get them on LinkedIn. And there's also an audio podcast version that if you have your podcast catcher, you can go in and look for It's Covered, the Insurance Podcast, and find it that way. And so different people like these things in different ways. And so I encourage you to, kind of find the format that's best for you. I really encourage you to encourage your coworkers and your staff to listen or watch as well. I think that we all need the reminder at times of why we're in this business, why we're doing what we're doing. I think that's a really good thing. And I include myself. It was, this very week, I started the week just not wanting to do it. I was dragging. And so I have to have these reminders too. This isn't something that I'm not in this. I'm not. It's not like I'm not in this boat with you right now. And so I encourage you to give this podcast to your coworkers, to your staff, to other agents, to other adjusters, and we'll go forward together. So starting this week, we are weekly again, and I really do appreciate it. And we'll see you next Monday.